beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. And as I'm headed out the door, I was thinking today about how important it is to honor your body. Um, there's a lot of people who come to me for recommendations when it comes to health and fitness. And somewhere along the conversation, it comes out, well, my goal is not, this is them, my goal is not to be a bodybuilder, blah, 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 blah. One thing that you have to have full clarity about is what your goals actually are. Obviously, I'm a competitor. My athletic goals are going to be way different from probably everybody everybody that I know, right? From my neighbors, from those people who are my family, friends, or whatnot. But you have to always honor your body. And what I want to be very clear about is that even though I'm cognizant now of the fact that I think a lot of my posts are operating in terms of what I'm doing athletically or nutritional habits or whatnot, that it's never for anybody, competitor, elite athlete, for anybody, it's never just like a straight line. There's always, for every one of us, times where we get ill, we get injured, we get just burned out, we have, shit that happens in your personal life, and whatever those stressors are that you're going through can have just marked effects on your body, and you're not able to perform at the level that you would like to actually be performing at. So it's always scalable according to where you are and what your goals are. Stretching back like several years, I started having, shifts with my body when I started competing. I owe a lot to competition because in many ways it truly saved my life in that it helped correct some of the bad habits that I had about beliefs about how to eat and how to train and all that stuff. But it really helped me get clear on some of the food sensitivities that I was having and didn't know it. And the first of which was gluten. So when I was getting ready with my first coach, Robin, hey girl, I realized that I couldn't have gluten. I didn't even really know what gluten was at the time, other than just from what I learned peripherally in like food class or whatever. But anytime that I had bread or pastas or whatever, I felt like absolute shit. It took me a good week to actually recover. It was like I had a food hangover from it. And at the time, gluten-free was not anywhere on the radar. And so everybody pretty much thought that I was nuts. Fast forward a couple years, I had put myself on almost a gluten-free diet at that time, but still had pizza from time to time because I love it. And it was a few years later in 2010 where I had done 3 shows within a 6-month period. I won't ever do that again. But I got super, super sick. I was very anemic, and I was having like dizzy spells and like all kinds of, my skin was gray. I was just an absolute train wreck. And it was at that point that it was like crystal clear that gluten was the main offender, and I was not able to absorb any of the nutrients into my body. And so usually when you're having problems with gluten, anemia is one of the very, very first presenting symptoms that people have that points towards a gluten issue. So that was the path for me. So, fast forward, several years, that was how my gluten-free baking line actually started, was through that hellish process. But then moving forward, once I had the diet thing under control and I was competing and I did well at nationals, like everything seemed to be going okay, there was some turmoil which was happening on the personal and the professional front. And it was like this big whirlwind of shit. And I found myself in a weird position that it was like everything in my body hurt. And in my brain, all right, so put this in your own context, is that if in November of whatever, 2011, I am training, and even into 2012, into the spring of 2012, I'm actually training with conditioning coaches for professional like baseball teams. I am keeping pace and actually moving faster than most of the high school quarterbacks and running backs in the area. Like like training at a high intensity and lifting super heavy, and then not long after that, virtually being almost like immobile, where everything in my body flipping hurt. My hips hurt, my skin hurt. It was horrible. And it was mentally, it sucked because you know where you like to be. And it was just mobility, like going up the stairs was terrible. My back hurt, everything freaking hurt. And it was mentally exhausting. And no matter how much I tried to push through a workout, it was like my body was rejecting the workout. So what I decided at that time was I can't weight train. Like something is severely wrong here, because if I try to weight train, I am out of commission for like a week. So I stepped it down. I had to honor where my body was. I had to step it down, and I shifted down into cardio, which is not my favorite thing. But I thought if I did like a low, slow, steady state cardio, at least to keep things moving, it would be good. And even that at that point was completely exhausting. So I think of it as a step down in terms of, how much motion you're doing. And I just did straight yoga. And for the first time in months, it was like something cleared up. It was not long after I started like regular yoga practice. And I had done yoga like at least once a week for several years, but this was like 3-4 times a week. I was just doing straight up yoga, no weights, no cardio. That many things started happening. I started to feel better. The aches and pains in my body definitely started to go away. I noticed that I didn't have as much abdominal bloating, and that I was absorbing better food, like my skin had more vibrancy to it. My nails started growing again because they had stopped growing for a while. Like it was bad for a long period of time. And so what I'm reaching out to those of you who are at some sort of a point where, it's like overwhelming the thought of going, exercise or diet or blah, 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 that it's never easy for everybody. And you just have to know, like, you have to be committed in your heart that you may be worlds away from where it is that you want to be, and you may have no interest in being an elite athlete or whatever, but you want to feel good, right? So you always have to honor exactly where your body is, and then allow it to trust you, that you're going to feed it well. You're not going to tax it. You're going to allow it to rest if that's what it's screaming to you for. And, you can progress then after that. So if you're finding yourself in like a low state, like we've all been there, and just be assured that you can, with consistent effort and gentleness and care for your body, you can revive and totally like revitalize your health. And once you have your health, like then you see massive, awesome sparks in other parts of your life that will be equally as vibrant. So have a great day. I'm off to the gym. It's Super Shoulder Day.